Aloha, greetings, and welcome back. Everyone knows that Nashville is the music city, and they're really known for their whiskey and their beer and their live music. But whenever I go to any city, I try and seek out what people consider to be the best craft cocktail bar. Now, two of them made it to the list, and I'm not sure if it made it to the top 50 because they picked one from each state, and that's supposed to be the best one in each state, but New York had several, and Nashville really only had two, and I forgot which is which, but honestly, the coolest bar I've ever been in, and I've been into a lot of bars, and I always say, wow, this is cool, but this place, wow, it was super cool. It's like stepping back 100 years in time. All the furniture, all the artwork, really authentic. They had the old vintage amusement games. They had all the circus artwork. Even the music was on cue. I mean, it was all music from the 1930s, probably a lot of songs you may not have even heard, and I love that sort of music. And they even have replicas of silverware, and they have the doilies. It's a pretty interesting place. The food wasn't all that great, but we had already eaten, and we were just buying something to nibble on, just for fun. I like to explore the food with cocktails all the time. Even the menu too is pretty cool. But I gotta be honest with you, I wasn't really excited about these cocktails. A lot of them I had, and a lot of them weren't looking all that interesting to me because I know how to make them at home and I've made them, like the Corpse Reviver. But I went ahead and I got that anyway because I wanted to see how they thought it should be made. Honestly, I think I make it better at home. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. I just know that when I make a cocktail, I make it for my own tastes. And I don't go into a craft mixology bar looking for gin and tonics, but they had a whole page of those and a whole page of martinis. And it was really interesting because they had something called a kangaroo. And a lot of people don't know this, and Michael Ruhlman points it out in his book because I didn't even know. But a martini made with vodka instead of gin is called a kangaroo. But you never hear it called that. You always hear it called a martini or a vodka martini. But the one drink they claim is their prettiest and their most interesting and their tastiest is the snake charmer. And a snake charmer is basically somebody that plays a musical instrument and it's hypnotizing the snake, it's dancing out of a vase or whatever. They stopped doing it a very long time ago. For whatever reason, they thought that was being cruel to the animal. And I get the whole Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey circus thing with the lions and the elephants. They're held in captivity. They're cracking a whip over its head. They're stressing the animal out. I get why those things in circuses aren't around anymore. But a snake charmer, I don't know. I'm probably dating myself, but who could forget nearly 25 years ago when Britney Spears came out on stage at the VMAs and was dancing with a snake wrapped around her. This was when she was still going out with Justin Timberlake. Full disclaimer here, this is not their recipe. This is the recipe based on their ingredients and what I thought is closest to the cocktail I had there. And I'm only doing this because, again, it was an interesting cocktail. The others I really wasn't all that impressed with, but I would go back there just to drink iced tea or seltzer. The place is so super cool. Now, the other interesting thing about this cocktail is that it uses olive oil. Now, we all know they use egg whites in order to emulsify the drink and give it a velvety feel on the tongue, but they're also using olive oil. And they're using this other interesting ingredient called Italicus. And since this is an Italian spirit, I'm also going to be using Italian vodka. Only makes sense, right? So when they say the whole grapefruit, I assume they're talking about super juice, because super juice, you use the peels, you use some citric and malic acid, and then you're straining the juice, and that's the whole grapefruit. Now, I tried it the first time, and I could only find ruby red grapefruits, but now I'm going to try it again using white grapefruit juice from a can. That's really the only way you get white grapefruits here in the Northeast. I've seen them, I think, once, maybe twice over the last 10 years. So, 1 whole egg white, ½ ounce of extra virgin olive oil, 3/4 of an ounce of grapefruit juice, 1.5 ounces of vodka. I'm using this vodka from Sicily called Volcanica, and 3/4 of an ounce of Italicus. Now this has got some interesting notes in here. It's got some orange, it's got some citrus. It's a proprietary blend. They don't tell you exactly what's in it, but it is very, very floral. It's very, very floral. It almost smells like a gin, but it's heavy on the floral notes. And I saw this in a couple of cocktails while I was there. So I went out and I bought a bottle of it, and I've been experimenting with it. They also call for 5 dashes of Peychaud's bitters, and you want to put a lot in there because you want it to get that red color. And just out of curiosity, I'm going to see how many 5 dashes is. Yeah, that's almost 1/4 ounce. Got my ice. And I'm going to shake this really well because we want to combine that olive oil and emulsify that egg white. And I am going to double strain this into a fancy cocktail coupe. Now, I don't have one fancy like they had from the 1930s. I mean, I know they're all replicas. If I find one, I'll buy one. Maybe I'll find it in an antique store or a consignment shop or even an estate sale. But I found this really cool place in Nashville, and the lady was super nice. And I did buy one to take home. This is just a regular one I got at the kitchen store. Now, the first thing I notice about this is it's a little bit grayer red in color because I didn't use ruby grapefruit. And you still got that nice foamy head. And you would typically garnish this with a lemon peel or an orange rind, whatever the case may be. But let's give it a taste and see how it is with just plain old white grapefruit. It is very silky on the tongue. It's a little bitter. I know there's bitters in there, but it's not as sweet as you might think it is. It's an interesting cocktail. If you go there, try it. If not, just go in there. It's not easy to get into, and it does get packed early on. We had to sit at the bar. I don't mind doing that. I love being at the bar, and I like talking to the bartenders if they're not too busy. Till next time, mahalo and cheers.
Isn't happy hour any time?